Welcome to WordPress tutorials brought to you by wpwiz.net. In our previous tutorial I showed you some of my favorite plugins that I use to basically set up every website that I start working with. Again, as I said in the last tutorial, it's often a question of personal taste and preferences, but these are my favorites and I'd invite you to check these out. So, in the previous tutorial I showed you how to install a few plugins. We didn't install all of them for reasons of time, but in the meantime I did install the remaining ones. And I did want to take a moment to walk you through what they actually do before you install them so that you know what you're actually doing. For most of the content related plugins, I think I explained what their features and what their idea is. The Sociable plugin is a plugin which allows you to attach your blog to social media, which can be very nice, allowing people to tweet or post on Facebook when they visit your website to share an article that they might have liked. I wanted to spend a moment though to speak about the SEO related plugins. Search engine optimization is really one of the most important aspects nowadays because everybody has a website and it's become so affordable to put up a website. It's really important to stick out if you have something to say and information to share. As I mentioned in my previous tutorial, for commercial use this obviously takes a different dimension. But even for your private blog it's important to be found. One of the leading WordPress plugins, it's called WordPress SEO by Yoast. It's my preferred plugin because it really cleans up your website to make it found and everywhere. And when you write new content, it also immediately tells you if there's something you're missing on. SEO friendly images is also something important. Search engines are very sensitive to when they scan your code and when they scan your website to pick it up in their database. They want, and especially we're talking about Google here, but it applies pretty much to Bing and all to the others like Yahoo, Ask.com. It all applies to them all in some way or the other. They want clean code. They want the code to be complete and professionally written. This is something that while they might not be scoring directly, rumor has it it's been recognized by the search engines. SEO friendly images just makes sure that all images have tags. Very small plugin, takes a few seconds to install. Another important plugin is the Google XML sitemaps plugin that you can see on the screen. Sitemaps are basically a directory of your website which helps the search engines understand which pages to index and to take into their database. Another component that is relevant to search engine optimization is the speed of your website. Now, regardless on whether you're on a shared hosting or you have your local machine like us in this case, which is obviously only a temporary place because ultimately we want to publish this website to the internet, you will want to make sure that you have a caching plugin. Now, what does a caching plugin do? If you remember from the setup that we have a web server that uses a database connection. Now, for every query that we make when we create a new post or we ask to list existing posts, the database is being queried. Now, this takes time and resources. So a caching plugin helps you to eliminate a lot of this time by saving a static copy of some aspects of your website for a couple of hours, so that when the same person or other people visit your website within that time frame, the database has no queries. So it's a lot faster loading. And this is also something that's been acknowledged by the search engines. Simple tags is basically just a tag cloud, which as you grow content, will basically tag your content automatically. It will find keywords that are relevant to your content, and then you can display a tag cloud on your website, which ultimately is for search engines, but also sometimes visitors like to look at these tag clouds, which display the content, and the keywords which are more relevant are displayed larger than others. The security related plugins, as I mentioned in my previous tutorial, are really important. You want to have a backup plugin installed. My personal choice is BackWP Up. There are a lot of backup plugins available. However, do make sure when you find your preferred tool or plugin that it doesn't only back up the database, but that it also backs up the files. Because despite the database being basically the lifeblood of your website because it contains most of the data, it's equally frustrating if you lose your pictures and any other files that you might have uploaded, as well as theme customizations. BetterW Security is a tool which hardens the security of WordPress. WordPress by itself is kind of secure. It asks for a admin username and password, but other than that, there are vulnerabilities. WordPress is one of the most popular software applications out there, and obviously attracts a lot of hackers that like to find access and steal data and compromise your site. BetterWP Security just tightens that a little bit, and it's a very easy to use plugin. WP Server Info is just a tool which displays basically the details around your server, which could be the operating system, the version of Apache, PHP, MySQL, and a lot of useful details. Good thing to have. Another plugin that I strongly recommend is OSE Firewall, or basically any other kind of firewall. What this does, it's basically an intrusion detection. It registers when somebody tries to repeatedly visit your website, possibly trying out to attack you by trying out passwords to steal your admin credentials. And this plugin is really handy because it actually prevents anything bad from happening to your website before that actually happens. So OSE Firewall can lock out login attempts, for example. So if someone tries to log in 100 times with the same username but a different password, odds are they're trying to figure out what the password is. You can lock these users out. It's a very useful tool to have. So in this tutorial I was just recapping a little bit of what we did in the last tutorial, and I installed most of the, well, if not all of the plugins that we talked about earlier. So at this point in time I want to walk you through how to configure a few of them, and we'll start with the fast secure contact form. So let's dismiss this message first, and we'll go to the contact form. So this is really simple. You create a contact form and you call it contact, yeah, and without having to do an awful lot, it just tells you, gives you a lot of options, but you don't really need all of these. It enables the CAPTCHA, which I mentioned in our previous tutorial, which helps you fight spam. But quite frankly, just by giving it a name, you're already pretty much set. So how do you use this? Well, this form creates a shortcode. A shortcode is a piece of code which tells WordPress to do something. If we just go to page, and I remember I told you pages are for static content, and a contact form is the perfect content for a page. Contact me. So what you just do is you take this shortcode, you paste it in here, and you publish it. That's all you have to do. Now if you look at the view page after you've saved it, you have a contact form, and you have a contact form that has a CAPTCHA code. So unless you type in the code 284F, this form will never be sent. So let's try and just get rid of all these other messages that there are here. For example, SEO friendly images. Again, not much to be done. You just have to click Update Options, and it's okay. Now take a look at the plugins that you've installed. Try and get a feel of what they do. Have a look around the internet if you have any questions. Most of these are very popular, so there's a lot of support in the forums. Get yourself acquainted with what they do. Play around with them. Thanks for joining, and I hope to see you in our next tutorial. Make sure you visit wpwiz.net.